The following night, the five DHIs gathered near the riverboat cruise as the first rumblings of a thunderstorm echoed like faraway drums in the distance. The approaching clouds drew a veil across the night sky. The river's black water swirled and lapped lazily at the riverbank. Wayne had mentioned the Indian encampment as a safe location, and this had led the DHIs to meet here. The cluster of extremely realistic-looking teepees sat atop a rise overlooking Tom Sawyer Island. The encampment included a dozen human-sized models of Native Americans doing a day's work, chopping wood, tending a fire. At the faint campfire, an old Native American woman squatted while she cooked. Finn led the DHIs inside the first of the teepees. They all disappeared. Charlene gasped aloud.
We're
invisible. Our holograms are not projected inside the teepees. Basically, we're kind of a hologram projection shadow here.
That's got to be why Wayne suggested it. It's the perfect hiding place.
Our holograms apparently have been programmed to project inside most attractions.
The plan was to have us guide guests onto the rides at some point. Still is. Sit there with them and explain the history of the attraction. That producer Brad told me about it when we were all at the MGM.
But here, we're safe.
The small space was crowded with the five of them. Maybeck's crossed legs, and only his legs, showed because they were near the teepee's open door. A part of Charlene's left knee showed as well.
This is too weird.
Maybeck raised and lowered his arm into the light that came through the door, making his hand appear and disappear.
It's like cell phone reception in a tunnel.
Let's not forget that though we may be invisible, we can still hear each other. That means we can also be heard.
Good point.
So, where are we? Willa? Philby?
The stonecutter fable is supposed to lead us to a quill. Maybe a special pen or pencil. Maybe something used by Walt Disney a long time ago. Our clues are sun, cloud, wind, and stone. As Wayne said, they're found all over the park.
The attractions. Walt knew they would stay behind long after he was gone.
Rides dealing with sun, clouds, winds, and stones.
We are working on which attractions have to do with each clue.
But Walt died before the park was ever opened, didn't he? So he wouldn't have known what attractions would end up getting built. Not all of them, anyway. Maybe we're supposed to try and solve this in Disneyland. Not here.
But he had dozens of loyal people working for him. His brother, his nephew. He could have passed his wishes along to any one of them.
And Wayne worked here in Disney World. Walt told the fable to Wayne, and no one else.
That we know of.
The answers are here. We just have to put them all together.
Finn asked Maybeck if he found out anything about the DHI servers. Any clue as to why they all fainted at the same time.
Was Wayne right about that?
You remember when we had to sign those releases before they started turning us into DHIs? Some of these imaging techniques have never really been tried before. That's what makes it look so cool, right? It's totally new stuff. The DHI servers clearly control our holograms, but why could they affect us humans is really weird. In crossing back, we must take something of our DHIs with us. We don't see it, we don't feel it, but it's there. That might explain how messing with the servers made us feel faint. I don't know about the rest of you, but I'm not real keen on someone else controlling me. I'm not loving that idea. I think the time will come when we'd rather have control over ourselves. So that's what I'm working on.
Murmurs rippled through the group. No one objected to the idea of gaining self-control.
The fall games are tomorrow. Is anyone here going?
They realized they would all be there, participating in various sports.
That gives us a chance to meet again. Let's meet by the snack bar before any of the sports get going.
Psst.
Maybeck's arm appeared briefly as he reached across the doorway and pulled Charlene's knee back inside. In the shadow, her leg became invisible. Finn heard what Maybeck had heard, the sounds of footsteps, the crunching of gravel nearby. Security guards? At the same time, he felt a sudden draft, like when he stepped into an air-conditioned room, he shivered.
I feel you.
It was a woman's coarse whisper, raspy and dry, as if she had sand in her throat. Goosebumps rippled up Finn's arm and down his spine. He was freezing now.
You don't belong here. Go away.
The sounds of footsteps moved slowly away from their teepee and continued on to the next. Finn held his breath. The sounds stopped and then headed back toward them. Inside the teepee came a soft, shuffling sound as invisible Maybeck and Charlene moved further away from the door.
I feel you. You can't hide from me.
It wasn't just any woman's voice. Finn had heard the voice before, but how was that possible? The footfall circled the teepee and came around front again. 2 legs appeared, with black stockings that ended at low-heeled, shiny black shoes. An invisible Willa reached over and found Finn's hand and clutched it tightly. Hers was warm and clammy. The black stocking legs bent as a hand appeared in the teepee's doorway. A green hand. The hand emerged from the end of a long black sleeve. Green as a lizard, the knuckles bent and bumpy, the nails long as clawed. Charlene gasped aloud, too loud. The air grew colder still. The woman bent over fully and peered into the dark teepee. She wore a robe-like black dress with jagged purple fringe and a purple stripe running up the middle, some kind of costume.
Interesting.
Now Finn understood how he knew this voice. It was from one of the Disney movies, but which one? He racked his brain as Willa's hand grew colder in his. She squeezed so hard it hurt. The woman bent lower and lower still. The air grew colder and colder. A green neck appeared, then a green chin, a green nose, and finally her full face. Wretched, yet somehow beautiful, it was Maleficent, the mean-spirited witch from Sleeping Beauty, the most ill-tempered and dreaded witch of all. His eyes were stinging with ice. Finn looked away, thinking the cold might kill him. When he looked back, she was gone. 2 footprint-shaped patches of ice showed where her shoes had been. The ground was frozen solid where she stood. No one spoke for several long minutes. Finn was the first to break the silence in a faint whisper.
Was that an illusion?
If it was one solid illusion.
No way.
I had my eyes closed.
Me too.
Only then did she let go of Finn's hand. He was glad they were all invisible. He wouldn't want to have to explain their hand-holding. Maybeck scooted forward, and as he did, partially reappeared at the mouth of the teepee's open door. About a third of him peered outside, the rest of him invisible.
She's gone.
She?
Her skin certainly looked real enough.
That was green skin, not green makeup. Mark my words, I know the difference.
Are you suggesting what I think you're suggesting?
I think we just met an overtaker.